Hello, good morning. This is Nas from NB Network Lessons. Hope everyone's doing okay. Thank you so much to all of my students for joining. I appreciate that from bottom of my heart. So today's quote is, if somebody does something bad, do not make a big deal out of that. However, if somebody does something good, do make a big deal out of that. So that's the quote of today. Now, I wanted to dive into, as I promised you in my last lecture, I want to dive into solving partial fractions using integration. However, I feel like that I need to go back and revise factorization before we dive into solving partial fractions by using integration. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let's say we have something like this. I'm going to start real easy, okay? So let's say we have something like that. X squared is equal to 16. How would you solve that? Easy peasy. What you have to do is you have to take under root of both sides. When I do take under root of this square disappears and I get 16 under the root, right? So then if I open this up, if I get rid of the under root, square root sign, I get x is equal to plus minus 4. Never forget that. Always put plus and minus because this has two answers. X could be equal to 4. That's a good answer. X is equal to minus 4. That's a good answer. Okay? If you plug that back into this, 4 times 4 is 4 square 4 is 16, matches. Minus 4 times minus 4, minus times minus is plus, so that also gives me 16, so that checks out. So in algebra, if you have minus multiplied by minus, you get plus. If you have plus multiplied by plus, you get plus. If you have minus multiplied by plus, you get minus, okay? So now let's solve another problem. By the way, some of you might know it, some of you might don't know it. This square right here, the exponent right here, square, dictates that how many solutions you have, okay? This is right here, square, 2. So I have 2 solutions. If it was x cubed, I would have 3 solutions. If it would have x4, I would have 4 solutions, but we're not going in there, So that's a totally separate topic. So let's go ahead and look at another problem. 3x squared plus 9x is equal to 0. All right. How would you solve that? Well, it should not be that hard. What I do is that I look at here, I can take 3x common. So if I take 3x common, inside I'm left with x plus 3, right? Should be a problem, should be a rocket science, is equal to 0. So then this square, which is in the exponent, dictates that I have 2 solutions. One is 3x is equal to 0, which implies that x is equal to 0. And then the second one is x plus 3 is equal to 0, which implies that x is equal to minus 3. So these 2 are the answers. And you can check. You can go back to the equation and plug in 0 over here. 0 square is 0 plus 9 times 0 is 0, so you get 0. You go ahead and plug in minus 3. 3 minus 3 raised to the power minus 3 is what? 3 times 3 is 9. So you have 3 into minus 3 square. I'm just plugging it in. Plus 9 times minus 3 is equal to 0. So let's validate that. So 3 minus 3 square is going to be 9. So 3 times 9 plus, this is minus, so I'll say minus 9 times 3 is 27. So it's 27 minus 27, which is 0. So you can check also real quick. All right, so let me come back and solve some more fraction problems. I don't want to overwhelm you. Just grasp these. But ultimate aim is to dive into integration of partial fractions. But this is basically trying to get you ready to dive in. Thank you so much for joining. I'll come back and we'll do another lesson. Thank you. Hello, this is Naz from NB Network Lessons. As promised, I'm back to do a couple of more problems in algebra, trying to get you ready for integration of partial fractions. So we're going to do some factorization. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So let's say you are given x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. And you've been asked to find the factors. Now most of you guys already know that, but this is just basically a revision. So the way I do it, I put two brackets right here. I say like this, all right? And first thing is that I need to find out two variables. When I multiply them, I get x squared. So I put x over here, I put x over here, because x times x is x squared. Now I gotta find out two numbers which we multiply and I get 6. So I choose 2 and I choose 3 because 2 times 3 is 6. Now you gotta choose, what sign should go in here, right? So that's kind of tricky. You might have to do it multiple times, but with experience, you'll be able to guess. But let's say if I go ahead and choose minus, all right? So if I multiply x by x, I get x squared, all right? If I multiply x by minus 3, I get minus 3x. If I multiply minus 2 by x, I get minus 2x. If I multiply minus 2 by minus 3, I get plus 6. So does that check out? X, if I do this, x squared, 3 plus minus 2 is minus 5x, and then plus 6. So that checks out. Wow, good. So now it has two answers. X can be equal to 2 and x can be equal to 3. Like I told you in my last lecture, this exponent right here, which is square, dictates how many answers you have. If it's x cubed, you'll have 3 answers. If it's x4, you'll have 4 answers. But in this case, it's x squared. So I have 2 answers. And we can check. If you plug this 2 into this x squared, you get 4 minus 5 times 2 is 10 plus 6, that's equal to 0, right? So let's check the second answer, which is 3. 3 times square 3 is 9 minus 5 times 3 is 15 plus 6, all right? So minus 15 plus 9 is minus 6 plus 6 is equal to 0. So that checks out. So good. All right, let's look at another problem. Let's look at, how about we have, draw a line right here. How about we solve this problem right here? 6x squared plus 11x plus 3 is equal to 0. All right, easy peasy. First step is, you have set of brackets, okay, like this. All right, you need to find two numbers with variable which we multiply and we get 6x squared. Well, arbitrarily, I'm just going to say 2x times 3x gives me 6x squared. Now, right over here and over here, I gotta find something which will give me 3. So how would I do that? I say arbitrarily, I say I choose 1 over here and 3 over here, okay? Now we gotta find out what signs should go in there, all right? Based on my experience, and also when you solve a lot of fractions, you will be able to figure out. But I'll go ahead and put plus here, all right? No rocket science. 2x multiplied by 3x gives me 6x squared, fine, all right? 2x times 3 gives me 6x, all right? 1 times 3x gives me 3x, all right? 1 times 3 gives me 3. So, well, that doesn't seem like the right solution, right? Because I have 6x squared, 6 plus 3 is 9x, and plus 3. But I have 11x over here. So how do I fix it? That's a problem, right? So it's always a good idea to check your problem after you solve it. So the way I can think, one way I can think to fix this is replace these coefficients right here. This one and this one, replace them, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this from here, and I'm going to erase this from here, and I'm going to put 3 right here, and I'm going to put 1 right here. Now let's go ahead and see if we can try to solve it. 2x times 3x gives me 6x squared, all right? 2x times 1 gives me 2x, all right? 3 times 3x gives me 9x. 3 times 1 gives me 3. So that makes sense now. Now we have, if you see right here, 6x squared. Then you got 2x plus 9x, 11x, plus 3. Wow. So we solved it. Sometimes you have to jiggle around a little bit to get the right answer. So then I have 2 answers. 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. So I can say 2x is equal to minus 3. X is equal to minus 3 over 2. That's my one answer for this right here. And then for this right here, the answer is going to be 3x plus 1 is equal to 0. So 3x is equal to negative 1. X is equal to negative 1 over 3. So there you go. The answer is in fractions, which is fine. This right here is an answer, and this right here is an answer. If you plug these values into this equation right here, you should get 0, and you will get 0. But go ahead and test it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm just trying to get you ready, revise fractions, factorizations, before we dive into calculus and solve integration problems using partial fraction. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.